Welcome to Look, Live, and Be Better, where we cover the hottest trends in health, beauty, and plastic surgery. I'm Dr. Anthony Youn, America's holistic plastic surgeon. Well, have you gained weight in recent years, even though your activity levels and eating habits haven't changed? Do you wake up in the morning more tired than you were when you went to bed? Or maybe you feel that your workouts just haven't given you the results that you expected that they would. Or maybe your mind isn't functioning quite like it used to, and you're experiencing the dreaded brain fog that bothers so many of us. Well, you may have even seen your doctor, had some tests run, and been told that everything is quote-unquote normal. Well, if you're female, and any of these things describes you, then my next guest may just have the solution for your problems. The secret may lie in your hormones. So let's get started. My next guest is a double board-certified naturopathic and integrative medicine specialist. She is a nationally renowned speaker and media guest. She is the founder of Vitality Medical Clinic in Seattle, Washington, and on the advisory board for Douglas Labs, one of the largest medical-grade nutraceutical companies in the United States, where she contributes to research and education. She also performs cutting-edge stem cell treatments. I'd like to welcome the author of the national best-selling book, The Hormone Secret, Dr. Tami Meraglia. So thank you for coming on the show, Dr. Tami. I'm so excited to talk with you today because I think you've got a lot of great things to share.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's a fun journey.
So this describes a lot of my patients, but there are a lot of women who find that after they turn 40, that they can't quite lose the weight the way they used to be able to. They may not have the energy that they used to have, and they find that their mind maybe isn't quite as clear as it used to be. So these women, they're over 40, they typically go see their doctor, they tell them their symptoms, and the doctor runs tests, and everything really comes back normal. So they're told by their doctor that you're fine, but you're obviously not fine, and there is something wrong. And my understanding after reading your book, The Hormone Secret, is this actually applied to you as well, correct?
Absolutely. My own journey got me to realize, and, practicing medicine and seeing these patients made me realize that fine is a 4-letter word. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, gosh, today I want to feel fine. Mm-hmm. It's just, that lack of ability to find the root cause. And for me, and for many women and our patients, they make excuses as to why their health and vitality have declined over the years, and think that that's normal. And it's reinforced by their doctor saying, well, what do you expect? For me, I was a resident. I was a mom of a newborn and pregnant, and I just made all these excuses. But I was profoundly tired. Between patients in clinic, I would lay on the floor.
Yeah.
How awful is that? Just because I was exhausted.
So it's like we have this idea that it's normal to be tired, to be fatigued, to not have, let's say, the energy that you used to have, to not have the body that you used to have, and that's just supposed to be the way it's supposed to be, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And as the years kept going, I kept making more excuses. I didn't have a newborn anymore, but I was still tired and then I would find all kinds of other reasons why. And finally, I thought, maybe I ought to just take a look at what's going on with my hormones. Mm-hmm. And what I found was shocking. And, the other symptom that I had was that I was unfun. I don't know if that's a real word, but I had lost that spontaneous ability to smile, laugh, be present, and enjoy the moment. Mm-hmm. And so it was one of those things that when I looked at my blood work, I was shocked. I had no idea that not only did a deficiency affect me, but the imbalance. And my two were progesterone, and that was my peaceful hormone. So that was immediately helped me sleep, helped my brain work better, helped me feel more peaceful. But I still didn't feel great. Mm-hmm. And I still had, 10 pounds that just wouldn't budge. And it wasn't until I looked at testosterone did I find the secret.
So that's technically the secret hormone that a lot of women really aren't paying a lot of attention to. I mean, women think testosterone, I need more testosterone. Why? I don't want to develop a mustache, or I don't want to, get this male hormone that gives me male characteristics. But that's not obviously the case here. I mean, it's not that you want the amount of testosterone that a man has, but you need more as a female because this is a normal occurring hormone that women need to have.
Absolutely. We only need a small amount, but it has an outsized role in how we look, feel, and function. And that you and I deal with the saggy of the skin and all of this. And a lot of times testosterone is playing a big part in that. And it can really help every aspect of our lives, even mood. It used to be a great treatment for depression.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think is it that as women get older that the testosterone levels do decline? I mean, what are the reasons for this?
Testosterone levels are declining earlier than ever before and at a more significant level than ever before. And I think it's because after the age of 35, kind of the factory for our testosterone is the adrenal glands. And our 24/7 lifestyle just drains these poor little walnut-sized glands that just have enough energy, raw ingredients, and time to deal with all the stress and produce enough cortisol and cortisone and adrenaline and all the stuff to get through the emails and the meetings and the traffic and the kids. And really, at the end of the day, they say, who cares if she feels confident? Who cares if she has a good muscle fat ratio? We don't have anything left.
So a lot of this has to do then with the adrenal fatigue that a lot of the practitioners now are learning more and more about. I mean, this is something that in medical school I was never taught about, but a lot of forward-thinking physicians, naturopathic doctors are really focusing on this as a cause of a lot of these a root cause of a lot of these issues that people have as they get older.
And it's very strange. Our traditional medical education tells us that the adrenal glands are either working perfectly, they've gone crazy with, Cushing's disease, or they're completely shut down and it's Addison's disease. Yeah. But there's no variation in between, which is so crazy. You can be pre-diabetic. You can have hypothyroidism. I mean, every other organ in the body is allowed to have a dysfunction rather than a malfunction, but not the adrenals in traditional medicine.
And it's kind of that idea that you have in your Hormone Secret book, the idea that the absence of disease doesn't necessarily equal wellness. And so just because a doctor says, well, geez, your lab test came back normal, there's nothing wrong with you, but there really could be. It's just that our current medical labs and the diagnostic equipment that we have just may not be in tune to finding out what these problems are.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of times people's symptoms precede their diseases. Sometimes not. Sometimes you'll have, a terrible cancer that we don't have a symptom of until it gets bad enough. Yeah. But adrenals and thyroid, a lot of people feel like there's something wrong and they're going to the doctor and saying, I'm just not myself. I just don't feel fabulous anymore. And I think that the symptoms, I don't know about you, but when I worked in hospital medicine, I used to be able to make 95% of my diagnosis and treatment plan without seeing the patient.
Without even seeing them?
Yeah, that's how I used to practice.
Wow. And how would you do that?
Looking at their labs, looking at their studies.
Really?
Yeah,
wow,
it was all data-based. And now I spend 1 hour with my patients. And, they'll say, well, what about this? And what about that test? And how's my testosterone? And I'll say, let's just see how you feel first. Yeah. And what's going on with you? Because that's the filter in which I will read the labs. Because maybe your body forgot to read the textbook.
Yeah. So let's say somebody then, a 45-year-old female says, look, I'm working like crazy. I'm helping raise 2 kids. And I'm tired, I can't lose weight. And you mentioned, one of the things we need to check is testosterone. So how do you check that? I mean, you just go and get the lab drawn, and then if that comes back abnormal, what do you counsel patients to do? What are your recommendations for them in general?
Well, one thing is to make sure you're getting your doctor to check free testosterone, not total testosterone, because free testosterone is, that one that is the active testosterone. So I don't care how much is swirling around. I care about how much is working for you. So we don't want it to be bound up by carrier proteins and things like that. So get your free testosterone checked. And there's also symptoms that you need to correlate it with. And we have a wonderful free quiz on drtami.com for people to see if they might have a deficiency. And after that, I have so many women who are afraid of taking testosterone. So that's what my book, The Hormone Secret, is about. I dove into the research for literally 2.5 years and found ways that were evidence-based and backed by research to boost the production of testosterone from the adrenal glands, specifically using supplements, lifestyle, and nutrition.
So a key of this is that you don't have to necessarily put yourself on medication to feel better, that there are a lot of natural ways that you can literally change your diet. I know I've read your book, fantastic book, The Hormone Secret. And there are lifestyle recommendations that you make in this kind of 30-day plan that virtually anybody can follow. I mean, you have to obviously dedicate yourself to making these changes. But the great thing about it is that there's no medication involved. So can you give a kind of a simple outline of what that entails for these 30 days if somebody's going to undertake that?
And, they're not hard. Some of the things like when you eat is just as important as what you eat. And so just being really mindful and kind of being a good parent to yourself and saying, yeah, I am going to start the day with protein. I might not feel like it. My husband is the worst. He said, I'm not going to start my day with a shake. We live in Seattle and it's cold and it's rainy and it's gray. He's like, I don't want a shake. So I made a protein that goes in this coffee. So it's the same amount of protein. It's called Protein Boost and it has no flavor. And so it's the same amount of protein as if he was eating 2 eggs. So starting the day with protein. The other important time of the day to eat is that dip between 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah. Who doesn't feel that, obviously?
Yeah. And everybody is drawn towards, sugar and caffeine and, the frappalapas of Starbucks or whatever. And if you bolster and boost and protect your adrenal glands with eating a snack that has protein, good fat, and some natural low glycemic sugar like veggies and hummus or cut up apples and almond butter, then you really are going to sail through that dip in energy rather than crashing. So simple things like pre-planning when you're going to have a snack is going to really affect your hormone production because your adrenals won't be so taxed at that time of day.
And do you change it, obviously, throughout that 30 days? It's not like they do the same thing for all 30 days.
Right. And there's actually a quiz for every hormone that a woman's body naturally produces. And so there's tips and tricks for each of the hormones. But I wrote the book focused on testosterone because I think that testosterone has been neglected in traditional medicine. There's hardly anybody who's gone to the doctor and their regular doctor tested a woman for testosterone.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that traditional medicine has really not focused on testosterone and maybe in a sense they may have dropped the ball a little bit on that?
I think traditional medicine is very symptom oriented. So estrogen and progesterone got a look and attention because women were coming in and saying, I have hot flashes, I have night sweats, and there was something that was interfering with their lives that was visible and easy to identify. Testosterone deficiency is an absence of vitality. It's something that isn't there. And so since it's not a quote unquote problem, then traditional medicine isn't so great at worrying about whether you look, feel, and function fabulously.
Well, we're going to continue on, but just before we keep going here, if you're interested in hormones, and if you're the type of person that has these types of issues, you're a female, let's say you're over 40, and you say, well, geez, why am I so tired? Why don't I have the energy that I used to have? Why am I not able to lose the weight I used to be able to? Maybe I have that dreaded brain fog going on. Check out her website, drtami.com. The Hormone Secret is her book. I've got a copy right here. Right here. And you don't need a prescription. That's the best thing for testosterone, for this Hormone Secret. You can change your diet, change your life. Now let's go into a little bit more. I mean, there are 3 things that what are 3 things that you can recommend for somebody who's listening today who says, look, I haven't picked up the book yet. I'm going to do that. It may take a couple of days for it to get to my door. What are 3 things that you could recommend for somebody to see? Obviously, they can take the Hormone Secret quiz on your website, which can be very helpful. But what are 3 tips that they can do today, maybe, to help with their testosterone levels?
Well, that's a great question because it's simple. One of them is maca. Maca is one of the most ancient medicinal herbs that we have. You can use it in cooking. You can have, maca chicken. You can put it in a shake. You can take it as a pill. But the research shows that 500 to 1,000 milligrams of maca each day will increase the amount of biologically active testosterone in your body. So I love that because it's taking the testosterone that you already have that's being held by the sex hormone binding globulin, the carrier proteins, and kicking it off. So you're actually not increasing your testosterone. You're just getting more out of the testosterone you already have.
Making it more bioavailable so that your body can use it. So it's 500 to 1,000 milligrams of maca per day. Yep. And where can somebody purchase that?
We have maca on our website, on drtami.com. And, I'm not in the supplement business, but my patients asked me because the supplement business is full of unregulated supplements that have like ground up house plants. There's a DNA study and not the milligrams that it says on the label. So make sure that you have a pharmaceutical grade, USP, GMP certified, third-party tested supplement. And usually a physician has those. My site has all third-party tested. So I've kind of done the homework for everybody.
So it's not, you can't, if let's say you go to some health food store in your town and they have maca there, you really want to be cautious because you don't know where it comes from. You don't know if it might be adulterated. And that's something that I do recommend for my patients too who are looking at supplements is that unlike medications, you and I know that the FDA regulates that very closely. The supplement market is not regulated necessarily, and there are potentially a lot of supplements out there that don't have in it what you may think. Okay, so somebody can start by taking the maca 500 to 1,000 milligrams per day, mixing it with shakes, with foods and stuff like that. What are 2 other things that somebody can do today then to help also with their testosterone levels?
Well, believe it or not, your liver has everything to do with a lot of hormones, but specifically testosterone. So doing a liver cleanse will help activate your testosterone and get rid of the old testosterone that's actually causing problems like acne and make your hair thin as you get older and things like that. So doing a liver cleanse. Now, the thing that you have to be worried about with liver cleanses is that there's a phase 1 and phase 2 of the detoxification part of the liver. And most of the liver cleanses out there only take people through phase 1. That's like taking a grenade and pulling the pin out. You have to go through phase 2 and throw it away. Okay. And so there are specific ingredients that you need to make sure that your liver cleanse has so that it goes all the way through phase 2 and the toxins are removed so it's not inhibiting the production and activation of your hormones. I have 2 on my website, a big one called the Get Glowing Liver Cleanse, and then a modified version of it called the Fab Cleanse Kit. But you want to make sure that there's some phase 1 and phase 2 ingredients and that they've talked about it in their content about the liver cleanse. So doing a liver cleanse. And if you're on medication, you should do a liver cleanse, maybe once a season if you're on a lot of prescription medications to clean it out. But once a year, we should all change our filter and clean it out.
How long would a liver cleanse take somebody to go through?
At least 2 weeks.
Okay. And is this something that they obviously, patients should discuss with their physician before undertaking that?
There are different types of liver cleanses. The one I have is not a horrible, toxin filled. It's just don't eat this, eat that, do these green smoothies. Here's some supplements that help your body with phase 2. So it's a gentle liver cleanse full of abundance, but it's very specific. Okay. So that's where it helps with the phase 2.
So 500 to 1,000 milligrams of maca. Look at doing a gentle liver cleanse, basically, which is eating the right foods and kind of getting some of the old testosterone out of your system. And what's the third thing that people can do to get started with improving this really hormone secret that can help improve them?
Number 3 is actually meditation. I tell my patients that meditation is medicine. And whether you do a breathing meditation, a silent meditation, transcendental meditation, listen to guided meditation, I don't care. But we now know from hooking people's brains up and taking saliva and blood tests that meditation actually changes the hormones and chemicals that are released in your body. It takes us from the sympathetic fight or flight or freeze when you're in your stress-filled world to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is about healing and rejuvenating and activating and promoting hormone production. And I like to think of meditation because how many times have you ever heard somebody be told, you should decrease your stress?
Yeah. It's easier said than done.
Right?
Yes.
It's so unrealistic. Like, the kids are not going to get themselves to school. The project is still due when it's due. I mean, it just is what it is. But so I like to think of meditation and stress like eating. So we eat, we have to eat. It is what it is. And then we get all this stuff all over our teeth. And if you left that food there day after day after day, it would cause decay and it would really damage your teeth, your gums, and cause lots of problems. So what do? Well, we brush the food off. We floss the food off each and every day. Well, that's what meditation does. Stress happens all day long and it creates inflammation that dirties our cells. And so what meditation does is it brushes and flosses all of that off.
So how often do you personally perform meditation? Do you go through that? I mean, every day, a couple times a day?
Well, my goal is daily for me and my patients because I want people to feel like, would you go a day without brushing your teeth?
No.
Right?
No.
Why? And why is that? It's because you created a habit.
Yeah.
There's nothing about it that's magical. It's just a habit. And so I want people to realize that, even a 5-minute meditation done once a day can be very profound. And so what I find to be the most successful is to schedule it as an appointment. If I leave it to I should meditate, by the end of the day is gone. I have no more energy and I'm falling asleep while I'm trying to meditate. So I actually have it as an appointment in my calendar.
Do you find that it's more helpful for you to meditate first thing in the morning versus, let's say, do a lunchtime, middle of the afternoon? Is there a specific time of day that you find it helps you the most? Or maybe that helps your patients the most?
So my life is a little bit different because I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, so morning is chaos.
I hear you. I know what that's like.
I know, right? Everybody's getting breakfast and lunches and homework and backpacks and driving to school and all of that. So what I do is when I get to work, I stay in my car.
Oh, okay.
For 5 minutes. And I do my meditation before I get out.
Oh, that's good. That makes sense because it's easy just to stay in the car. Do you listen to something or do you just turn the engine off and let there be silence?
Well, I'm easily distracted. So when I sit in silence, I'm aware of people walking by or driving by. So I usually listen to something and I have a whole repertoire of things and I'll probably just leave it in my car for a week or two. Dr. Andrew Weil has great breathing meditations. Dr. Wayne Dyer has some great, I love Wishes Fulfilled. I'm a huge fan of Bill Harris's Hollow Sync. So I just have different things that I listen to and try and shut out the world and concentrate. And, everybody says, how do you meditate? Well, there's meditation on a mantra like I am grateful or whatever word or words make you feel blessed and like your world is fantastic, or just even counting your breath. There's another great app called Headspace, and it's free, and it's a 10-minute guided meditation. So if I'm feeling very distracted, I need somebody to hold my hand, I'll do that one.
Well, getting back to hormones, just kind of finishing up here. Somebody says, okay, I really want to now start taking control of my hormones. Where can somebody start if they are that in that demographic, you know, they're female, they're over 40, and they're having these issues that we've talked about? How do they get started?
Well, in my book, The Hormone Secret, which, by the way, is a big paperback launch coming up and tons of cool bonuses, we're even giving away a fully paid trip to a retreat in Costa Rica.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's a hormone retreat where it's with me. There's one in Costa Rica and there's also one in Colorado where we're actually going to get started on the liver cleanse and the hormones. So back to what to do. In my book, I talk about how to find a doctor and how to fire a doctor, finding someone that will work with you. And I have one question that you can do to help find a doctor that will work with you on these things like hormones and nutrition. And that is to ask your doctor, what role does nutrition play in my health and my hormones? And if your doctor says nothing at all, then walk out. Because remember, your doctor works for you. You're the CEO of your own health and your own life. And you get to make decisions about who is on your team.
And it's important for people to realize that really it's that food is medicine. I mean, it is true. And there's so many things that people can do to improve their health that doesn't have to do with taking a pill and even necessarily taking a supplement. You know, it really has to do with changing what you eat and what you put in your mouth. So if you're interested in the Hormone Secret, we covered some really cool stuff today. This is her hardcover book, Dr. Tami's A Hormone Secret, Discover Effortless Weight Loss and Renewed Energy in Just 30 Days. The paperback is out now. So by the time
pre-order, yeah, February 7th is when it comes out.
Yeah, so the paperback is out currently, but if you're interested, I strongly encourage you to go to Dr. Tami's website. That's drtami.com, drtami.com. Pick up the Hormone Secret paperback. Now, is there different information as well? Did you add some stuff from the hardcover?
So the paperback bonuses through our paperback launch, when you purchase the book on drtami.com, you're going to get a recipe book. You're going to get a coupon for winning a raffle to a sauna. You're going to get into the raffle for the retreat. You're going to get coupons for shopping at Vital Choice so that the food that you have is going to be easy to make and the recipes that go with it. And there's a coupon to shop at the drtami.com store. There's so many things that we have added to bless people's lives in the bonuses when you purchase the paperback on drtami.com.
That is great. So if you're the type of person that you're over 40, you're female, and you're finding that you don't have the energy that you used to have, you're having issues losing the weight that you want, and your doctor tells you that everything is fine, but you know everything is not fine, I strongly encourage you, check out Dr. Tami's book, The Hormone Secret, Discover Effortless Weight Loss and Renewed Energy in Just 30 Days. So give her just 30 days of your life, and she can really help change that for you. Check out her website, drtami.com. The paperback is out now. There are a ton of, sounds like great free bonuses, and who doesn't want a free trip overseas? That sounds awesome. I thank you for coming on. I got one question that I ask all of my guests before they leave at the end of the show, is if you were to give our guests one tip, one secret that you've learned throughout your career, throughout your life, for them to look, live, and be better, what would that be, Dr. Tami?
Instead of going through life and accepting what comes at you and reacting, spend time each and every morning deciding what is the outcome of your day going to be, and put yourself in the driver's seat. That is, choose what you're going to put in your mouth. Choose whether or not you're going to meditate. Choose whether you're going to take 2 minutes to go outside and walk around at lunch and have fresh air in your face. You are the CEO of your own life. It's up to you.
I think that's awesome advice. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Dr. Tami. It really is a pleasure. I'm so glad to be able to help share your amazing message that I think people need to hear, because there's so many people that I think that could really benefit from really hacking their hormones and finding out, is testosterone the issue that they have?
Yeah, well, I hope to bless more people's lives. There's so many people who've been told they're fine, and they can have and experience a wonderfully fabulous life.
Well, thanks
so much.
Thank you. Thank you for watching and listening. This is Look, Live, and Be Better. I'm Dr. Anthony Youn, America's holistic plastic surgeon. We will see you next time. Do you want to look 10 years younger without having surgery? Well, my best-selling book, The Age Fix, will tell you how. I spent the past 17 years learning the secrets to turning back the clock and have written all the best of these secrets in this book. This includes the Age Fix diet, simple changes to what you eat that can make a huge difference in your appearance. I'll share with you a simple skincare routine to keep aging and wrinkles at bay. And I'll share with you the best secrets to treat every single beauty and aging problem there is, from age spots to wrinkles, saggy skin to bad breath, saddlebags to hair loss. And almost all of these can be effectively treated without surgery. So are you ready to turn back the clock and kick Father Time's backside? If so, check out The Age Fix. Now, if you purchase it on my website, dryoun.com, you'll get over $10 off the cover price, free shipping, and you'll receive several free gifts, including a bonus chapter that you can only get by purchasing the book there. Thank you for making The Age Fix such a huge success.